Oh, hello. Today we'll be talking about censorship. It's a bit grimy in here. Censorship is the process in which an institution suppresses, denies, or alters the creation of a piece of work. In our case, music. These institutions are driven by political, religious, or monetary ideals. Really, there are infinite reasons why one would want to censor a work. What we need to know is that it's agenda-based. There are a few different reasons why censoring work might happen. One reason could be to silence a person or group of peoples, taking away a voice from someone due to their viewpoints, social class, or minority status. Censorship also appears with powerful bodies quelling opposing viewpoints, attempting to mold a media landscape and prevent contested thinking. This can also be politically driven, but less controlling, like two opposing parties attempting to censor each other because they have contested viewpoints. Today we'll be breaking down purposeful silencing of popular music and how systems of power play their part in censorship. There are three main ways to formally censor something. The first is prior restraint. This is when an action is taken before a piece of art is produced to prevent it from ever being created. Some countries like America and Argentina have laws to prevent this, but sometimes prior restraint still seeps through. This often shows up with powerful media holders with dominant monopolies, shaping a media landscape around company ideals. The second is restriction. This is when a work has some sort of prohibition attached to it, preventing certain groups of people from accessing the work. This is a very common form of censorship with children, and restrictions created around age-based viewing. And finally, we have suppression. Suppression is the outright banning of a piece of work, preventing an audience from viewing it. Suppression is often a very politically driven form of censorship, wielded by governments or bodies attempting to uphold values and quell dangerous ideas. The devil is in who chooses these ideas that are too dangerous to hear, and what ideas do they choose? The darkest side of suppression comes from its regular utilization by authoritarian governments in attempts to keep people ignorant of ideas that they deem harmful or extreme. One example of this comes from the USSR. Suppression played a heavy role in the Soviet Union's media landscape. The government constantly attempting to snuff out growing artistic influence from the 1960s and 70s America. Import and distribution of the Beatles, along with many other media works, was limited in the USSR as it was deemed to promote a frivolous and un-Soviet lifestyle, Americanized work being deemed distracting to the youth. There's also self-censorship, which is interlinked with all these three aforementioned categories. This is where an artist deems it necessary to alter their own work, sometimes out of goodwill, but often due to the environment in which they create. An artist changing their work to avoid or mellow specific topics is common when a government or producer has conflicting ideas with the creator. It's a bit like prior restraint, but instead of direct intervention, the artist changes their own work and how it can be consumed due to the domineering ideals that are pre-established in a specific industry or country. So that's censorship. Well, kind of. There's also cancel culture. Cancel culture is the process of an artist being criticized and deplatformed due to their opinions or actions being deemed by the public as reprehensible. The difference between cancel culture and censorship is the power dynamics in play. Where censorship is a top-down system of controlling bodies shaping a media landscape around governmental or company standards, cancel culture is mainly when a community shifts its perception against an individual, driven by the everyman to uphold societal standards. So there we are. Censorship is an agenda-based action relying on power dynamics, with the goal to alter, influence, or silence something. In our case, music, be it the people creating it, the messaging it contains, or the culture it's derived from. problem is, when authoritarian institutions wield censorship, it becomes a dangerous tool to suppress what you can see and say. No, please, not again, not again, no, no!